Hello, pre-algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here with your flipped lesson for the weekend. Let me make sure my mouse is functioning. There, it's skipping. There it goes. All right, there's two problems. They might look hard. Some of you might think you need a calculator, but I don't think you do. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can get those two problems done, and then I will show you two different ways to do one. I'll do one using counters. I'll do one using a number line. All right, so go ahead and pause the video. Okay, if you're still watching, I assume you want to see my solution. I'm going to do this first one using the number line, okay? And see this -5 right here? You know what I might do? I might just go ahead and highlight my negatives. That way I can pay attention. Remember, the positives are over here, and the negatives are over there, and I'm writing in highlighter. That just doesn't look right, so let me put a plus inside there and a minus inside there. All right, so I'm going to start at -5. Bump. Now, according to this number line, then I have to move +8. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ha, ha, ha. All right, then I'm going to go left 3, or 3 in the negative direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then finally, I have to go 6 in the positive direction. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so my answer is going to be +6. Now I'm going to recap all that because I didn't really show all the moves. But first of all, I will go 8, and I'll start at -5, and I'll go 8 in the positive direction. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right now I'm at +3. And let me get a different mark here. I'll use a star. The star gets me to +3. But then I have to go -3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 right to there. And that will take me to the flower. A little flower power for you. So I'm at 0. Then finally, I'm going to go +6. And +6 is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And for that one, I'm going to use a smiley face because I'm done with the problem and I did it right. So this whole problem equals 6. That's using a number line. That's a great way to do a problem like this. Okay, now number 10, I'm going to do using counter. Okay, so I'm going to, before I actually do the counters, I'm going to look at my problem here. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight my negatives so I don't make any silly mistakes. Okay, there's all my negatives. But I'm also going to pay attention because I notice right here I have a -5 and a +5. And I know that they will cancel each other out. So I've just simplified the problem. It's actually 10 minus 12 plus 8. I'm going to get the same answer. This is the problem I'm going to solve because it's less work to do. All right, so let me see. I'm going to need to infinitely clone him and infinitely clone him. And it looks like for the first part of the problem, this part right here, I'm going to need 10 positive counters and 12 negative counters. Now, some of you are thinking, hey, I know what that ends up being. But I'm going to get my 10 positives, and I'm going to group them, and 6, 8, 10. So there they are. Now I'm going to need 12 negatives. And I'm going to group them and copy. That'll be 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now I can see right away that these two and those two are going to cancel. Maybe I shouldn't do it that way. Maybe I should draw lines through them. Maybe you'll like that better. All right, so I'm going to cancel those two positives, those two negatives. Those two positives, those two negatives. Okay. Canceling. And I'm left with just two negatives. So right now, this problem has turned into -2 plus 8. So I need my two negatives that were left over from the canceling. And then I'm going to need put those back. I'm going to need 8 positives, right? So let me do that and go 4, 6, 8. And you can't see them, so I'll bring them over a little bit. And then I can see that these, I should do that in a different color. These negatives and these positives will cancel. There's nothing left to cancel. I have positive 6 for an answer. By the way, it's just a coincidence that both problems ended up being positive 6. All right, let's slide on down. There's 2 multiplication problems. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure them out without a calculator. If you're still watching, I guess you're ready to see my solution. Now, I'm not going to use counters for these. I'm just going to count my negatives. I've got negative 4 times negative 5 times 2 times negative 1. These parentheses mean multiply. You'll see that more and more as you get into higher math. So I said negative 4 times negative 5 times 2 times negative 1. I said the word negative 3 times. In other words, there are 3 negatives. 3 is an odd number, right? Well, if there's 3 negatives, then my answer is going to be negative. And now I'm just going to multiply. I'm not even going to worry about the signs anymore. I'm going to say that 4 times 5 is 20, and then times a 2 is 40, and then times 1 equals 40. I know in the original problem there were 3 negatives. My answer is negative. My answer ends up being a negative 40. So I determine the positive or negative sign of my answer before I do any multiplication. And I do that just by counting the negatives. If I get an even number, it's a positive answer. If I get an odd number, it's a negative. So on number 4, negative 6 times negative 2, 10 times negative 2 times negative 10. I know my answer is positive. There are 4 negatives. 4 is not an odd number. It's an even number, which means I will get a positive answer. So now all I have to do is multiply. And multiplication is commutative. I can change the order. So I'm going to do 6 times 2, which is 12. And then 12 times 10, well, 2 times 10 is 20. 3 times 10 is 30. 4 times 10 is 40. 12 times 10 would be 120. 12 with a 0 on the end. Times one more 10, well, guess what that's going to be? That's going to be 120 with one more 0 on the end. My answer is 1,200, and it's a positive. I don't need to put the plus in, but I'll do it to emphasize the point. Now, the cool thing about multiplication is that the trick of counting the negatives works on division as well. So look at these 2 problems. Take a guess right now if they're going to be positive or negative answers. Go ahead. You count the negatives, and you determine if they're going to be positive or negative. I'll wait for you. Go ahead. No problem, Maria. Take your time. What's that, Alan? You said you already got it? Yeah, you're right, Alan. Number 5 is going to be a negative answer. And number 6 is going to be a positive answer. Alan, you are just too smart for your own good. All right. I'll bet Trevor knows that if I had $20 and I shared it with a total of 5 people, each person would get 4. So my answer is negative 4. Okay. And I'll bet that Chris Musser knows that 16 cut in half is 8. My answer is positive 8. You see how simple that is? All right, now the trick is you guys got to commit to memory and stop running to your calculators first. You're intelligent young men and women. You can do this. All right, that's your lesson for the weekend. We'll get a little practice on Monday, and I heard rumors of quiz coming up on Tuesday. Mr. Lawrence signing off. Good night, everybody.